Let's continue with this coverage and analysis of all the goings-on happening down there in Fulton County, Georgia today. We're going to do that with our friend and legal analyst, Randy Zelin. He joins me now. Randy, thanks for being with us, especially now you can respond to the news there. The judge in U.S. District Court there in Atlanta denying former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows' efforts to remove the case from state to federal court. Are you surprised or not?
No, I am not surprised. I'm sure those in Trump world are disappointed. Certainly, it would have been advantageous for Mr. Meadows to be the first one through the door on the removal issue. And if he were successful, that would probably open the floodgates to other defendants, which would just further screw up Fani Willis's attempts at a state level to prosecute Trump world. So no, I'm not surprised, and I'm not surprised for a fundamental reason, which is Mr. Meadows' reason for being in federal court immediately was cut down by the outer contours of what he's permitted to do. In other words, his argument was, we should be in federal court. This happened under the color of my authority as chief of staff. My federal duties, I'm a federal official, this belongs in federal court. The problem is there's a law called the Hatch Act, and the Hatch Act says specifically a federal officer cannot use that office to advance some politics. Right. So as soon as you start talking about overturning the election and politics, well, you're bumping right up against the Hatch Act, which says that you can't use your office for political purposes. So right then and there, you knew that he was going to lose. It was a bold move, really, because he testified. And now those words can come back to haunt him. But again, am I surprised? Not in the least.
Because, Randy, he was kind of like the ringleader in this effort. A lot of other defendants are following suit to see whether or not they can get their case removed to federal court from state court. Those efforts seem moot right now upon this news, don't they?
It's certainly, if not is a nail in the coffin, could be the final nail in the coffin. But much like, in my humble opinion, Alvin Bragg was nominated to be the first prosecutor through the door with an indictment against the former president. Let's see if the world falls off of its axis. I think to a certain degree, Mark Meadows drew the short straw, and you go first, take a shot, let's see how you do. We see how he did. Now the other defendants are on notice that if they try to pursue a similar effort, they will probably end up with the same result.
Okay, so we wanted to bring you on, though, for the other news out of Fulton County, Georgia today. And I think because I'm kind of confused by this, we know that this report, this special grand jury report, was released today. Now, this was somewhat entirely separate from the grand jury that convened itself back in August 13th, 14th, to bring the indictments on these 19 co-defendants. But we now know is there were other possible defendants who could have been charged, who were recommended to be charged, but were not, including Senator Lindsey Graham, then Senator David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler, and others. And so my question to you is, they were only recommended, they were not indicted. Is that something in Georgia law, or is that just standard? What's going on here?
Georgia law provides for two types of grand juries. We have the grand jury that we all know, and as Saul Wachter would say, could indict a ham sandwich. There is that grand jury who is put together, assembled, and designed to determine whether or not there is reasonable cause to believe that a defendant committed a crime. In other words, to return an indictment, which is the step to get to a trial. We all know that. We're all used to it. But Georgia law provides for another kind of grand jury, an advisory grand jury, a grand jury that does not have the power to indict, but has the power to hear evidence, see evidence, take in evidence, and make recommendations. This special grand jury was convened upon a vote by Superior Court judges in Georgia for the purposes of advising the district attorney's office what charges should be brought and against whom, which means that Fani Willis could take the report, look it over, and say, all right, I see the grand jury thinks that 39 people should be indicted. I'm going to go with 19, but thanks so much for your help. What's interesting here is that grand jury report, the special grand jury report, is usually kept secret. But apparently nobody bothered to push back on the judge's issuing of an order saying, unless anybody objects, I'm releasing this.
Well, no, I remember, Randy, I remember there was a lot of pushback, though, from the Trump legal team to
well,
get
apparently
parts of this
somebody
redacted.
blew a deadline. Somebody blew a deadline because the deadline passed for a formal objection. And that report apparently has been released in its entirety. And that's where we can see, oh, my God, Lindsey Graham was recommended for indictment.
Yeah.
Michael Flynn was recommended for indictment. The two former senators were recommended for indictment. My God. But it really, I think, in yours, to Fani Willis's credit and to her benefit, because it shows that she merely didn't rubber stamp a grand jury rubber stamp. She wasn't looking for all of the glory. Imagine indicting Lindsey Graham. So the fact that she decided not to go along with everything that the grand jury recommended, which she certainly was in her power to do, I think actually is a check on her side of the ledger.
Okay, when you're talking about rubber stamp for indictments, though, I want to go to the Donald Trump angle in this special grand jury report, because it's interesting. There are some similarities and differences. So apparently the panel took 8 separate votes recommending that Trump be indicted in connection with various alleged crimes. Now, in each of those votes, Randy, one juror recommended against a Trump indictment. Should we read the tea leaves there when, ultimately this gets to trial and Trump is on trial and he has to face a jury? Or should we just look at this snapshot in time that's not kind of a bellwether for the trial to come? Or is it maybe?
I certainly think that things happen for a reason. There are no accidents. And there is that 6th degree of Kevin Bacon separation with everything in this world. In fact, when we look at music, I mean, ultimately, you can hear nuances of one song in another song. Why? I mean, there are only so many notes to go around. But yes, and I think that anyone who is keeping an eye and keeping score on this will say it's going to be very difficult for the government. It's going to be very difficult for Trump to find 12 jurors to unanimously convict or unanimously acquit. And I would not be surprised that with each of these trials, you see hung juries. And that hung jury could be 11-1. And I don't know which way the 11-1 is. And in fact, most of us, and I don't happen to agree with it, say the only shot the government has is in D.C. because D.C. is completely Democrat. But listen, you only need one. So if it's 95% Democrat, that means 5% isn't. Well, 1 out of 12, Trump doesn't get convicted. So yes, I do think that is, what's the word I'm looking for? Does it foretell? Is it foreboding? It's for something. I just don't know who it's for.
Okay. Randy, to your point, though, you were kind of, maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, but you were kind of arguing that, Fani Willis was a little more circumspect than a lot of her critics had given her credit for. And you were saying essentially she could have just indicted all of these people who were in question, to which, though, we got a statement in from the Trump campaign. They say Democrat partisan Fani Willis and her unlawfully constructed, politically motivated so-called special grand jury have now been completely exposed as operatives and tools of the radical Democrats that they are. But no indictment came for David Perdue. No indictment came for Kelly Loeffler or Lindsey Graham or Michael Flynn. Just these 19 defendants. We have their mugshots all right here. So I'm not, saying that the Trump campaign is going to, highlight that nuance there, but you did.
Well, certainly the first time that Trump world concedes or agrees or doesn't try to reverse engineer, reverse spin, and make day-night out of anything that goes on, that will be the days that cats and dogs live together. It's not going to happen. And there is a talented public relations machine in Trump world that can take anything and spin it to their favor. My favorite one is, if I get indicted a fourth time, I'm winning this election. So I'm actually embracing it. I'm actually asking. I actually want to be. Think about the diabolical mind that can spin something so horrible like an indictment and turn that into, this is going to guarantee my election.
Right. And we know that the former president has a rally tonight in South Dakota. He's going to be endorsed by the Republican governor, Kristi Noem, there as well. And Randy, just lastly, we brought on Doug Burns last week. The news came down that Fani Willis wants this trial to happen March 4th of next year. We know some of these defendants they're going to go to trial next month. And so Fani Willis isn't going to get all of them tried together like she initially wanted. But do you think that March 4th date next year is going to stick?
It's so hard to say.
Okay.
You have so many moving parts, so many defendants. Trump has so many other cases. I think it would be a fool's errand for anybody to set any trial date in stone right now.
All right. Randy Zelin, on this Friday night, we always appreciate your insight into all of the Trump legal matters. We'll definitely be speaking again, I think. Randy, have a good weekend.
Thank you. A better way to start mine than to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you.